Hi everyone, this is Arvind from MindMajix, and today I welcome you all to this amazing video on Power BI interview questions. So guys, I hope you must be knowing that Power BI is a very popular business intelligence tool in the market, and we have been receiving a lot of requests around this topic. Like many of our viewers commented that they need a video on in which we are going to cover all of the interview questions, which will be helpful for you to clear the Power BI interviews. So not only Power BI interviews, Power BI is a very helpful tool to clear data analyst interviews, business analyst interviews, or only financial analyst or those kind of roles. So hence we decided to come up with this interview questions video in which we are going to cover the most frequently asked interview questions. So in this particular video, we'll be covering roughly around 30 questions. And once you go through these questions, I'm quite sure that you will clear the Power BI or data analyst or business analyst interviews. So guys, that is the agenda for today's video. And before moving ahead, I want you guys to subscribe to MindMajix YouTube channel and also hit that bell icon so that you never miss an update from us. So without any further delay, let's get started with our first question. So the first question over here is, what is Power BI and why it is used for? So guys, this is a very basic question and it is expected that you give a simple and crisp definition of Power BI in this question. So Power BI is a business intelligence solution from Microsoft, and this tool is used to visualize business data from hundreds of data sources and share those insights that you derive from the data across the organization. So basically, Power BI is a cloud-based self-service BI tool that collects applications, connectors, and software services that are used to organize raw data into informative content. And now, if you talk about the most prominent uses of Power BI, so with Power BI, you can have real-time dashboard updates and you can pre-built dashboards and reports for software as a solution or SaaS-based solutions. Apart from this, Power BI also provides a secure and reliable connection to your data in the cloud or on premises as well. Apart from this, Power BI offers hybrid configuration, quick deployment, and a secure environment. And last but not the least, Power BI explores data using natural language queries as well. So guys, this was a quick definition of Power BI. And after the definition, we also explained what are the uses of Power BI. The next question is, what are the main differences between self-service BI and managed enterprise BI? So guys, whenever you're asked these kind of questions like explain the difference between this and this, so what you can do is you can grab a piece of paper. Over there you can make two columns, and in those two columns you can mention the differences. So like in this question, we have to explain the differences between self-service BI and managed enterprise BI. So if you talk about managed enterprise BI, so here data flows from many sources as there is no order for companies to ingest and manage data sources. On the other hand, when you talk about self-service BI, so over here, you have the option to ingest data seamlessly from any data sources. The next point to consider over here is that there are time constraints and a lack of proper information when it comes to analyzing data with managed enterprise BI. Whereas with self-service BI, analyzing data is pretty much very easy. The next point over here is for managed enterprise BI, you require complex programming skills to generate the reports. Whereas if you talk about self-service BI, users could generate actionable and intuitive dashboards almost instantaneously without executing complex programming codes. And the last but not the least point over here is companies are unable to run the business operations effectively as they cannot report and analyze data and collaborate to gain valuable insights from it. Whereas with self-service BI, with data ingestion falling into order, companies can process data and conduct business operations with relatively easy amount. So with minimum efforts, you can ingest data and you can process the data and you're also able to generate insights with self-service BI. I hope this explains the difference between managed enterprise BI and self-service BI. The next question is, describe the building blocks of Power BI. So guys, there are particularly 5 building blocks over here. And the first one over here is visualization. So a visual representation of data in the form of a chart or a map. That is nothing but a visualization. Then we have data sets. So what are data sets? So data sets are nothing but a collection of data that Power BI uses to create visualizations. So with the help of data, like different types of data, like that can be structured, unstructured, semi-structured, or whatever it is. So with the help of these data sets, you can create visualization. The next building block over here is the report. So what is a report? A report is a collection of visualizations that appear together on one or more pages. So ultimately, after you have the data set and you generate visualizations, so multiple visualizations can combine together into a report, which can be either a single page or even multiple pages. After that, we have dashboards. So a Power BI dashboard collects visual from a single page that you can share with others. So often it's a selected group of visuals that provide quick insights into a data or a story that you're trying to present. So what is the most important thing to consider over here is in dashboards, you can have multiple visualizations or you can have multiple reports as well. And last but not the least, you have tiles. So tile is a single visualization on a report or a dashboard. So basically, it's a rectangular box that holds an individual visual. So guys, these are the basic building blocks of Power BI. The next question over here is, what is the difference between Power BI, Power Query, and Power Pivot? Again, like I've previously told, when you are asked this kind of question, like differentiate between this and this, so grab a piece of paper simply and make 2 or 3 columns and highlight the differences in respective columns. So here, if you talk about Power BI, Power Query, and Power Pivot, so basically Power BI is a BI tool, like business intelligence tool, and Power Query, as you all know, like even Excel users must be knowing about Power Query. So Power Query is a common feature of Excel as well as Power BI. So what is the use of Power BI, Power Query? I repeat. So what is the use of Power Query? So with the help of Power Query, you can import and shape your data. And the third tool over here is Power Pivot. So basically, Power Pivot is used for data modeling and data calculations. The next point is, in case of Power BI, so M and DAX are the languages that are supported in Power BI. Whereas in Power Query, you have M language. With Power Pivot, you can use DAX language. So DAX is nothing but data analysis expressions. So the third point over here is, with Power BI, you can get incredible visualization options. So there are multiple options for visualizations in case of Power BI, and you can choose any option as per your convenience or requirement. Now, what is the biggest advantage with Power Query? So with Power Query, you can get an easy to use interface. And with the help of Power Query, you can easily transform or clean your data. And if you talk about Power Pivot, so the biggest advantage of Power Pivot is that it can handle millions of rows of data. If you talk about Power BI, so with Power BI, you have simple and built-in interactive options. So you can easily interact with data with Power BI. And if you talk about Power Query, so Power Query basically provides you with powerful tools to import and clean your data. And if you talk about Power Pivot, so with Power Pivot, you can do various types of data modeling. And with the help of data modeling tools, you can efficiently store and analyze your data. And the last point over here is, with Power BI, you can have powerful DAX calculations. And if you talk about Power Query, so all Excel users can easily benefit from this particular tool. As I've already told you, Power Query is common for Excel as well as Power BI. And if you talk about Power Pivot, so here you have powerful DAX calculations going beyond the standard Excel. So I hope this clears the difference between Power BI, Power Query, and Power Pivot. So now let's move on to the next question. So the next question over here is differentiate between Power BI and Excel. So now in this particular question, what we are going to do is we have made 3 columns. In the first column, we have the parameters. Like the parameters is nothing but a point of comparison. And in the other 2 columns, we have Power BI and Excel. So now if you talk about the first parameter over here, the first parameter is the tabular report. So Power BI is not so handy for tabular style reports. Whereas if you talk about Excel, so Excel is too good in handling tabular style reports. Basically, Power BI is much more advanced tool than Excel. So now if you talk about the second parameter, here you have duplicate tables. So with Power BI, you cannot display duplicated tables. Whereas if you talk about Excel, Excel easily allows to display duplicated tables. The third point is the reports. So as I've already told you, Power BI is an advanced tool than Excel. So Power BI basically offers beautiful, personalized, and interactive reports. Whereas if you talk about Excel, Excel doesn't offer advanced cross-filtering options between charts, reports, and dashboards. The fourth point over here is the cross-filtering. So with Power BI, you have advanced features in cross-filtering between charts. Whereas with Excel, you do not get much options, or there are very limited number of options for cross filtering between charts. The next point over here is the analytics. So basically, Power BI offers simple analytics. Whereas if you talk about Excel, Excel offers high-level analytics than Power BI. The last point over here is the applications. So basically, what are the uses or applications of Power BI? So Power BI is ideal for dashboards, KPIs, alerts, and visualization, including analyzing your data visually. Whereas if you talk about Excel, so Excel does have some new charts as of now, and they cannot connect to the data model. So basically, you have limited number of scope or options in case of data modeling with Excel. I hope this clearly explains the difference between Power BI and Excel. So now let us move on to the next question, which is what are the major components of Power BI and what do they do? So guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the major components of Power BI. Like here you have Power Query, Power BI Desktop, Power Pivot, Power Q&A, Power Map, Power View, and so on. So in this particular question, you just need to explain all of these components in a single sentence. So if you talk about Power Query, so Power Query, as we have already seen previously, it's a data mashup and a data transformation tool. Basically, you can analyze your data and you can clean your data with the help of Power Query. If you talk about Power Pivot, it's a in-memory tabular data modeling tool. And Power View is a data visualization tool. If you talk about Power Map, so Power Map is a basically 3D geospatial data visualization tool. And Power Q&A is a natural language question and answering solution or a service from Power BI. And last but not the least, you have Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop is a powerful companion development tool for Power BI. So once you answer this question, the interviewer pretty much gets a clear idea that you are well aware of what are the major components of Power BI. The next question is, name some of the popular types of filters that are available in Power BI. So guys, in this particular question, you just need to mention the most frequently used or the most popular types of filters that are available in Power BI. Like here you have manual filters, automatic filters, advanced filters, include and exclude filters, drill down filters, cross drill filters, and drill through filters and URL filters. So basically, if you have done maybe a couple of projects or 2 to 3 projects in Power BI, and in these particular projects, you can also mention, like you can give examples of the occasions or the scenarios where you have used these kind of filters in Power BI. The next question is, what is the use of get data icon in Power BI? So guys, as you can see on the screen, this is the screenshot that I've attached for this particular question. And over here, you can see get data. Once you click on get data, what you get is basically you get all of the different options through which you can import your data into Power BI. So when users in Power BI click on the Get Data, a drop-down menu displays all of the data sources from which the data can be ingested. So data can directly get ingested from sources such as Excel, XML, PDF, JSON, CSV, SharePoint, databases such as SQL, SQL Server, IBM, Access, Oracle, MySQL, and much more. So you have n number of options with data sources in Power BI. The next question is how to create and manage relationships in Power BI desktop. So as the name suggests, relationships in Power BI are used to define the connection or the relation between two or more tables. So to perform analysis on multiple tables, relationships are used. So to create and manage relationships in Power BI desktop, so what you can do is there's a home tab, and on this home tab, you have the option to select manage relationships. So once you click on manage relationships, then you have to click on new. So in the create relationship dialog box, in the first table drop-down list, what you have to do is you have to select a table. And once you select the table, what you can do is you can select the column that you want to use in the relationship. And in the second table drop-down list, you can select the other table that you want in the relationship. So select the other column that you want to use, and then you can click on OK. So once you do this, what you have done is you have created relationships between multiple tables in Power BI desktop. The next question is, are Power View and Power Query the same? So guys, what you can expect in interviews is like the interviewer can ask you such type of questions like, are they same or are they different? Like first you have to answer either yes or no. So whatever your answer is, yes or no, you can also expect the interviewer to ask you the reason for that. So in this particular question, the interviewer can ask you, are Power View and Power Query the same? So to answer this question, you have to say, no, they are not same. And you also have to mention the reasons. So like Power View can be used to download data as well as make data transformations. So here what you can do is you can mention Power Query can be used to get data from multiple sources, and with Power Query you can also transform and do data cleaning with your data. The next question is, what are the different connectivity modes in Power BI? So guys, there are basically three types of connectivity modes in Power BI, and the first one among that is SQL Server Import. So SQL Server Import is the default and the most general connectivity type utilized in Power BI. So it enables you to use all of its capabilities. The next connectivity mode is the direct query. So the direct query connection is available when we connect to a particular data source, and in this type of connectivity, Power BI will only save the metadata of inherent and the actual data. And the third option over here is the live connection. So this type of connectivity does not store the data in Power BI model. So all interactions with the report through the live connection query, the available analysis service models. The next question over here is, explain the difference between Power BI Personal Gateway and Data Management Gateway. So Power BI Personal Gateway is used for reports that are deployed in powerbi.com, whereas Power BI Data Management Gateway is an app that installs the gateway on source data machines to deploy reports on SharePoint and schedule to refresh automatically. The next and a very important question over here is, explain DAX. So guys, in the Power BI interviews, what you can expect is DAX is a very important topic. So you can expect multiple questions around this particular topic. And I can assure you that if you clearly explain the questions around DAX, so there is high level of chance that you are going to clear that interview. So the question over here is, explain DAX, or what is DAX? So DAX basically stands for data analysis expression. It is nothing but a collection of operators, functions, and constants, and these are used to calculate formulas and return the values. So basically, DAX helps you create new information from the data that you already have. After giving the clear-cut definition of DAX, what you can do is you can also highlight the advantages of DAX. So why you must use DAX in Power BI? So the benefits of using DAX is that you can get improvement in your performance, and you can also improve the readability of your data or the reports that you have and the dashboards that you're creating out of those data. With the DAX, you can reduce the complexity of the data, and you can also simplify the debugging process. So now let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, what is the difference between these two DAX function? Now those DAX function are sum and SUMX. So the sum function takes the data columns and aggregates them totally, but the SUMX function lets you filter the data which you are adding. So basically, if you talk about SUMX, with SUMX you have to pass the table and the expression, where the table contains the rows for calculation and expression is a calculation that will be evaluated on each row of the table. The next question is how to perform query tasks in Power BI desktop. So Power Query is available in Power BI desktop through the Power Query editor. So to open the Power Query editor, what you can do is you can select Edit Queries from the Power BI desktop home tab. And the ribbon in Power Query editor consists of the 5 tabs like Home, Transform, Add Column, View, and Help. The next question is, can we store data in Power BI? If so, where does it get stored? So Power BI stores data in few different locations, and all of the data stays secure through measures such as encryption and password protection. So it mainly depends on the channel that you are using to import the data. Basically, the data is stored in a few places, but it all boils down to one of the two main locations, that is the cloud and your desktop. The next question is, how do you create a group in Power BI? So to perform a grouping in Power BI, what you have to do is you have to select the fields that you want to be a part of the group. And then once you select them and you right click, then the context menu gets opened. So over here, you have to select the group option from the menu. And once you click on the group option, the Power BI will automatically group these options. And once you do that, the process of grouping is over. So if you observe closely, the legend section is replaced by group and the color is placed in the details section. The next important question over here is, what is M language in Power BI? So M is a query language used in Power BI query editor to prepare the data before loading in the Power BI model. So Power Query works with Excel, analysis services, and Power BI workbooks as well. So its core functionality is to filter and combine, that is, to mash up data from one or more rich collections of supported data sources. And any such data mashup is expressed using Power Query M formula language. The next question over here is, what are the different views in Power BI? So guys, basically in Power BI, we have 3 views. The first one is data view. So this tool allows you to view, explore, and curate the data tables in a dataset. Next, we have the report view. So the report view shows every table with its corresponding relationship. So this allows us to divide these difficult models into simplified diagrams or set properties for them at once. And last but not the least, we have the relationship view. So this relationship view shows the tables in an interactive format to simplify the data analysis process. So with relationship view, we can create an n number of reports, build visualizations, and merge them and apply many more such functionalities. The next question is, explain the Power Query editor. So guys, as you can see on the screen, I've attached a screenshot, and this screenshot belongs to the Power Query editor. The Power Query editor basically transforms or edits the data files before they are loaded in the Power BI desktop. So the query editor is an intermediate data container where you can transform the data by selecting the rows and the columns, splitting them, pivoting them or unpivoting the columns or the data, etc. So basically, as you can see on the screen, there are multiple tabs in Power Query editor. The first one being the Home tab. So basically with Home tab, you can import your data from the query editor into a new query group. And the Home tab uses the parameter group for creating and managing the parameters. Then you have the second option over here, which is the Transform. So the structured column group offers options to work with nested group. So the Transform tab changes the data type of the columns, replaces values, renames the columns, and fixes the errors in any column group. Then we have the add column option. So we can use the add column option to create a new column through the DAX formula. So the conditional column adds the column according to the other column's values. And after the add column, we have the view option over here. So basically, view displays and hides the query editor settings. So from the view tab, the advanced editor window can be opened for viewing and editing the query code. The next question is, what are the different types of gateways available in Power BI and why would you use them? So basically, the gateway acts as an extension between Azure Cloud Administration and on-premise data sources. So basically, there are three types of gateways that are available in Power BI Desktop. So the first one is the on-premise data gateway. So this allows multiple users to connect to various on-premises data sources. You can use an on-premise data gateway with all of the supported services with a single gateway installation. Next, we have the on-premises data gateway, which is a personal mode. So this data gateway allows one user to connect to sources that can't be shared with others. So this gateway is best suited to scenarios in which you can only create reports and you don't need to share any data sources with others. And the third type of gateway over here is the virtual network data gateway. So this type of gateway allows multiple users to connect to various data sources that are secured by virtual networks. The next question over here is, what do you know about many-to-many relationships in Power BI? So guys, as we have seen in previous questions, that you can create relationships among tables in Power BI. So now in this question, you have to mention about many-to-many relationships in Power BI. Like you can have one-to-one relationship, many-to-one relationship, and many-to-many relationship in Power BI. So many-to-many relationship involves a bridge or a connection table that reflects the combinations of two dimensions. So either all of the possible combinations or those combinations that have occurred are covered in many-to-many relationships. The next question is, how can you convert SSRS to Power BI? So guys, there are a few ways in which you can integrate SSRS with Power BI. So the first way over here is SSRS report items such as charts can be pinned to Power BI dashboards. So guys, SSRS is nothing but a SQL Server reporting service. So let's say if you're working with data from SQL Server and you also have to integrate SSRS with Power BI. So what you can do in Power BI is you can pin multiple charts or multiple visuals to Power BI from SSRS report items. The next way is you can click the tile option in Power BI dashboard and this will bring the users to SSRS reports. The third way is to keep the dashboard tile refreshed, and for this a subscription is created. The next question is, what are the key differences between Power BI dataset, a report, and a dashboard? So again, as you can see on the screen, we have three columns over here. First one for dataset, second one for report, and third one for dashboard. So data set is nothing but a series of Power Query queries that have been shaped in a DAX model. So a report is nothing but a series of visualizations, filters, and static elements on a Power BI canvas. And what is a dashboard? So dashboard is a way of pulling visualizations together from several reports. The next point of comparison over here is a Power BI dataset can have many data sources, like you can gather data from multiple sources and you can merge them together in a dataset. And if you talk about report, so each of the report can have multiple sheets, like you can have multiple pages in a report. And if you talk about dashboard, so Power BI dashboard is a single page, which is often known as a canvas, and that uses visualizations to tell a story. The next point over here is a data set can have one report and a report can have one data set. Whereas if you talk about report, so data set and your report are going to have one-to-one relationships. If you talk about dashboard, so dashboard is basically a tool for pinning the visuals from different reports and other data sources into a single place or a single location. So I hope this clears the difference between dataset, report, and dashboard. The next question is, how is data security implemented in Power BI? So Power BI applies models with row level security. Whereas if you talk about dynamic security, so this involves using username functions in the definitions. A DAX expression can be applied to tables, filtering their rows at the query time. And last but not the least, a table is typically created in the model that relates to specific dimensions and roles. So once you follow these practices, you can implement data security in Power BI. The next question is, list some edit interaction options that are available in Power BI. So guys, there are 3 edit interaction options that are available in Power BI. And the first one among that is the filter. So filter thoroughly filters the visual or the tile based on the filter selection of another variable. The second edit interaction option is the highlight. So highlight basically highlights only the related elements on the visual. And last but not the least, you have none. So none basically ignores the filter selection from another tile or a visual. The next question is, what is Power Pivot and what is the filter return in Power BI? So basically, Power Pivot is an in-memory component that enables storing the compressed data. So it is used to build the data model, the relationships, create formulas, and calculate columns from different sources. So now if you talk about the filters in Power BI, so filters are applicable in visualization level, report level, and page level. The next question is, what is the primary requirement for a table to be used in Power BI? So in Power BI, the primary requirement for the table is that it contains unique rows. It must also contain the location data, which can be either in a latitude or longitude pair. And you can use address fields such as street, city, so on and so forth, which can be easily located by Microsoft Bing. The next question is, explain about bidirectional cross filtering in Power BI. So one of the most important feature of Power BI is bidirectional cross filtering. So this feature allows you to apply filters on both sides of the table relationship using right to left and left to right options for particular calculations. So through this, modelers can know how exactly particular relationships can work in multiple contexts. The next question is, what do you know about row level security and how do you implement it? So row level security restricts the data that users view and access based on filters. So to configure the row level security, users can define rules and roles within Power BI desktop and publish them to the Power BI service. Also, the username function can restrict the data in the table to the current user. However, to enable the row level security, a Power BI Pro subscription account is required, and Excel sheets can also be used when converted to the .pbix file format. So guys, with this, we have come to the end of this video on Power BI interview questions. I hope you guys have enjoyed this session and you have thoroughly understood the questions that we have discussed in this video. If at all you have any doubts or queries related to this video, you can write them in the comment section and we will try to resolve your queries as soon as possible. So guys, one more thing that I would like to mention over here is, from MindMajix, we have also started taking mock interviews for Power BI and all of the other technologies. So with mock interviews, what you can get is you can get genuine feedback from us, and the feedback will help you improve your performance in the actual interview related to Power BI. So guys, thank you so much for being with us and have a very good day.